Okay, hopefully Bishop Berkeley's going to come to Locke's rescue here. As I mentioned earlier, Berkeley's a very famous philosopher, probably the most famous Irish philosopher, and he looked at what Locke was doing with his theory of epistemology and empiricism, and he really liked what Locke was coming up with. He thought it made sense as an explanation for how it is that we come to acquire knowledge about reality through our experiences. Um, he particularly liked Locke's use of Occam's razor and trying to come up with a theory that required the fewest number of assumptions as possible. But Berkeley recognized this thing problem that Locke has, the substance problem, which is kind of nicely illustrated by this image here, where you have Locke asserting that we have experiences of a physical reality that exists outside of ourselves because the objects in this physical reality possess qualities that allow us to have experiences of them. That the things that exist in physical reality have both primary and secondary qualities that cause us to have experience of these things and then to develop ideas about what those things are like. But Berkeley recognized what Locke recognized himself, which is there is this assumption that there is a thing that exists, a substance that exists, that is the possessor of these primary and secondary qualities. And yet Locke recognizes, I don't know how I can explain why I think that physical substance or that thingness actually exists, because the only thing I have experiences of are the qualities of the thing. So I'm just going to have to kind of assume that those qualities are possessed by a physical thing. And you can see Locke writing about this. He says, since the mind, in all its thoughts and reasonings, hath no other immediate object but its own ideas, which it alone does or can contemplate, it is evident that our knowledge is only conversant about them. Okay, super clumsy way of saying, okay, I admit it, the only thing we really know are the ideas that we have. We don't actually know that there's a physical world out there. We just know that we have experiences, and these experiences give us ideas about the way that things are. And the only thing we can ever really know is that we have these ideas. Okay, we can only really know what ideas we have. So Berkeley steps in and says, Locke, I think I can fix this problem for you, but it's going to require a couple of steps. The first step is to look really closely at this distinction you've made between primary and secondary qualities. So Locke is saying, some objects have these qualities that inhere in them. They exist separately and independently of us and our experiences of those objects. This would include things like size and shape, weight and mass and position. And then there are these qualities, secondary qualities that these physical objects possess, Locke says, that have the power to create certain sensations in us, like color, texture, and taste, and sound, and odor. And so Berkeley says this, okay, you say there's these two different qualities, and the fact that these qualities exist is an indication that there's a physical reality out there that includes physical objects. I want you to try to explain to me what the properties, the primary properties that inhere in an object itself are like after you have removed the secondary qualities. Okay, so if the secondary qualities are simply a power to produce a sensation, and the primary qualities are properties that exist independently of us in the objects themselves, then we should be able to identify those primary properties, gosh, what's the word he used? Not primary properties, primary, qualities. It's right there on the screen. Why wasn't I looking at the screen? We should be able to identify those primary qualities without the secondary qualities. So Berkeley says, I want you to consider lemons, and I want you to take away their color. I want you to remove the color from lemons. I want you to remove the power of lemons to create a sense of texture when you touch them. I want you to take away the power, the secondary quality that gives lemons the power to give a particular taste or a sound when we drop them on the floor, the power to produce a sensation of odor for us when we experience those secondary qualities. I want you to remove all those secondary qualities. Now tell me what you have, because what you should have now is a good, clear glimpse of all of the primary qualities that you think define this thing as a physical object. So if you take away the color, the texture, the taste, the sound, and the odor of the lemon, what do you have? You have nothing, right? How can we say that a lemon has shape if the lemon has no color? If the lemon has no color, we wouldn't be able to see the lemon. If you can't see the lemon, you can't determine its shape. If you take away the texture of a lemon, you can't pick it up to feel it and know what its weight is, to know what its shape is. You wouldn't be able to have a sensation of it if it didn't have the power to create the sensation of texture in us. If it no longer had the power to produce a taste or a sound or an odor, how could we have a perception of any other feature of the lemon? And so this leads Berkeley to the conclusion that when we're describing primary qualities like mass, size, and weight, we're really just interpreting the secondary qualities. So we look at this and we see, oh yes, I see this lemon, and I can see the color yellow, and I can see where the color yellow ends. And that's how I can see where the shape is. So here's yellow, 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 yellow. Here's not yellow. And I can do that all the way around this lemon, and that's allowing me to detect its shape. It's really just me interpreting the bounds of this secondary quality of color. And we could kind of keep going through and doing the same thing, right? That we come up with its mass, its size, its position, its location as interpretations of our experience of these secondary qualities. So Berkeley concludes, these primary qualities, Locke, that you claim existed objectively in physical reality, in those objects themselves, they really exist only in our minds, just like those secondary qualities. Okay, so now this sets up Berkeley to draw a kind of a wild conclusion, okay? And that's what we'll look at in the next lecture.